Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty and fashion trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, drag queen connoisseur Jaiden. You can call me by my drag name, Shear Stud. I use them interchangeably. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And today we're going to be talking about some more makeup dupes. You guys really enjoy listening to them. I really enjoyed researching them because I learned a whole lot about makeup in the process. And after that, the next part of the show is going to be very drag race heavy. RuPaul has been feeding us content, and I am absolutely here for it. I have zero complaints. So I want to talk to you first about Drag Race Down Under, which is the Australian version of RuPaul's Drag Race. And instead of going through the looks from the first episode, instead, I want to go through the looks that they wore to the blue carpet, instead of the red carpet, for the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under. So I have all of the queens' looks in front of me, so we'll go through that. And Drag Race Spain was announced. Actually, I think it was announced a while ago. However, I have the promo looks and the outfits, and I want to talk about it. Just because initially looking at it, the drag in Spain is very different than the drag in the U.S. So I would like to talk about it. Then at the very end of the show, I want to continue where we ended off last episode, which is beauty tips you should ignore, because I feel like there are certain beauty tips and trends and tricks and whatever that are kind of dangerous. And I think it's important to realize that just because you see instant results doesn't mean that it's sustainable. But we'll talk about it. So stay tuned till the end of the show because we'll talk about it. Getting started with some makeup dupes. If you're on TikTok, like makeup TikTok specifically, then you have seen all about the Kat Von D Beauty Gold Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation. It has been all over my For You page. So many different types of people are trying it, different skin tones, different skin textures. We love to see it. And the overall consensus is that it's a good foundation. It's full coverage, relatively buildable, good shade range. It's good, right? However, I have not tried this product. But what I have tried is a dupe for it. Girl, let me tell you, I tried this dupe before, the Kat Von D one even came out or got popular. I don't know. So the Good Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation, it's about $38, and you get 0.35 ounces, which for a compact foundation, that's about typical, anywhere from 0.30 to maybe 0.50 or something. The dupe for it, which is the one that I've tried, is the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect Smooth Finish Cream to Powder Foundation. It's going to be $11. So it's going to be significantly cheaper for 0.28 ounces. So you are getting a little bit less product than the Kat Von D foundation. However, you're still paying a whole lot less. And Milani is one of those brands where you can find some of their products at a drugstore or like a Target or like a Walmart, CVS, pharmacy type places like that. But you won't find like you could maybe find a blush, maybe a highlighter, but like a foundation you probably wouldn't find at a Target or any other pharmaceutical type company. I've mainly seen Milani at Sephora, Ulta, other big name beauty stores, I don't know. And I think that's really interesting. I'm surprised that it's not more accessible considering how much cheaper it is and how good most of their products are. So I would say, Milani, if you're listening to this, I would get into the Target gig and get more of your products there so that it's more accessible, right? Next is going to be Miss Laura Mercier. I have not tried a single product from Miss Laura. All of her products are really, really expensive, and I just don't know. I would rather test expensive products. Like, say my friend has like the Laura Mercier like setting powder. I would much rather try the powder before I decide to buy the powder. You know what I mean? But because it's makeup and for sanitary reasons, you're not supposed to like try makeup on and then put it back because like, right? However, we're not talking about the setting powder. We are talking about the Caviar Stick in Rose Gold, which is like a eyeshadow, it's like a cream eyeshadow that's in like a stick, so you can like put on your eyes, or you can really put it anywhere. It retails for $29, and you get 1.64 grams of product. And I'm not sure if that's the typical amount that you would find in a product like this. I've really never seen like an eyeshadow stick before. So it's really interesting. And I was even more surprised to find out that there's a dupe for it, which is the Julep. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Julep. Julep. That's my guess. Eyeshadow 101 in Champagne Shimmer, which goes for about $14, and it's about 1.4 grams. So it looks like 1.64 and 1.4 grams. Like, you would get anywhere from 1.5 grams to like 1.7 or something. I have never really heard of an eyeshadow stick before. I've only ever heard of like eyeshadow in a pan, like in an eyeshadow palette that you would typically see, or even liquid eyeshadow, which I have tried. I'm not really a huge fan of. Like, it's hard to blend. So I would be curious to see how this product performs. Based on the photos that I've seen of the two products, the biggest difference in terms of packaging is the Julep Stick eyeshadow it looks like a sponge at the end of it. So I'm assuming that would be for blending in your eye area. The Laura Mercier one doesn't have that. It looks flat at the bottom. But yeah, I would be curious to see how these work. If you've ever tried a stick eyeshadow, let me know. Let me know how that turned out, because I'm very, very curious. The next dupe is going to be for the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint. So, there has been a lot of controversy behind tinted moisturizer versus foundation, which I'm very surprised, because I feel like the difference is very clear. And the main difference is just the amount of coverage. A skin tint, or like a tinted moisturizer, is going to be the most minimal coverage of foundation that you can find. Like, I would say, unless you're getting a really different color than your skin tone, you're probably not going to be able to see it unless it's super, super pigmented, which most of the time they're not really going to be that pigmented unless you're more deep skin toned. However, the Fenty Beauty skin tint is going to be $30 roughly. I looked online on the Fenty Beauty website. It was about $30. And you get 1.08 ounces, which for a skin tint, that's about average. Anywhere from 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces is usually what I've seen. The dupe for it is going to be the Wet n Wild Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator, which I have tried. It's $5 for 0.9 ounces. So like I said, it's about anywhere from 1 ounce to 1.5. I have a mixed review about this product. Their shade range felt somewhat limited for me. I had to buy 2 different ones because I just wasn't sure if it was going to match my skin tone. And then it turns out that like the shades were like right next to each other. They were the only one apart, you know what I mean? And neither of them were a good match. And even when I mixed them together, like, I don't know, it was not the business. In terms of a tinted moisturizer, the tinting part of it did not tint my skin. However, it did hydrate my skin. So what I would use this product for is like base makeup. I would kind of put it on as like a primer, but it wasn't really that thick. But I would still put it in areas like maybe you have enlarged pores like myself. I would kind of put it maybe on my cheeks, maybe a little bit on my nose, right in my forehead, just so it can really hydrate those areas. If you have any dry patches on your skin, this would be good to also kind of put in those places. If you want to kind of have like a more dramatic highlight, then what you could do is get a tinted moisturizer that's a little bit lighter than your actual skin tone. And when you put it on, put it in the same places where you would put your highlight, but put it on at the very, very beginning of your makeup step. Like first thing, like pair it with your primer. And this will make sure that, and then once you put your foundation on and then you go back there and do your normal makeup routine, you'll kind of see that underneath your foundation, that kind of brightness is peeking out just a little bit in the areas that you put it, so that it makes your highlight a little bit more exaggerated and a lot more bright, especially if you still go back after and go through with your normal cream highlight, powder highlight, whatever it may be. It'll just make it look a whole lot better. And in theory, you could also do the same with contour, but with contouring, it's a little bit harder because you do have to be a lot more careful on where you place it, or else you'll kind of notice that once you put the darker tinted moisturizer on and then you go through and you try and blend with your foundation, you kind of risk the two mixing a little bit, and then your entire face is kind of a little bit darker, right? And so it's always harder to have a foundation that's too dark and then try to lighten it. It's a lot easier to have a foundation that's too light and then go back and darken it. Because you can always go back there with contour, bronzer, something like that to kind of warm up the face a little bit. But it's a lot harder to do it if your foundation is too dark. The next dupe is going to be for the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. This is a foundation that I know very well. It's one of my go-to foundations. I love it. Stay in place. Girl, she means it. She really does. I really like it because when you first put it on your skin, it is wet. It looks like I just dipped my face in paint. And it's not until you take a fluffy brush and dip it in some setting powder and set your entire face that it looks gorgeous. Not a pore in sight, no skin texture. I love it. However, it is $43 and you don't get that much product, which is unfortunate. But for that reason, I have some dupes for you. I have multiple dupes for this foundation. That's how much I like it. And they're all priced at different points, so you can kind of decide how much you're willing to spend. Let's start with the least to the most expensive. So the first one is going to be the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, the Matte Plus Poreless foundation, which again is one that I've tried. I've talked about it many times. This was the foundation that I used when I first started doing drag. The reason why I kind of switched away from it is because I was looking for something that was more full coverage. But at the time, I didn't realize that you can kind of build on your foundation, like kind of put it on in layers. But I haven't tried it since, so I would be curious to see how it performs when you are able to apply more layers to it. So that goes for about anywhere from like $7 to $10, anywhere in between like that price point. Really affordable. You can find it at Target, CVS, Rayleigh's. I don't know what other place there is. So I really like it. Next is going to be the MAC Studio Fix foundation, which goes for about $31, which I would say is a decent price for a foundation. I haven't tried this foundation, but I do know that a lot of drag queens are a big fan of this foundation. It's long wear, minimal creasing, really full coverage. It's a good foundation. So I'm curious. I would like to try it. I have heard a whole lot of good things about it. And lastly, coming in at $34 is the Fenty Beauty foundation. Now, when Fenty Beauty first dropped their foundation, everybody was truly gagged at the shade range. And I was too. They have a really big shade range. But another thing that I really liked about it was the formula. I haven't tried this makeup or this foundation on my face, but one of my friends had it, and I did kind of put some on the back of my hand, feel the texture, and I really liked that it wasn't really super oily, and it did set and like go matte on my hand relatively quickly, which can be good, but it can also be bad depending on how fast you are at doing your makeup. But I would say out of all of these, the Fenty Beauty is probably the closest dupe to the Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. So those were all of the makeup dupes that I had prepared for you guys today. After the break, we're going to be talking about Drag Race Down Under. So if you're curious to hear me talk about some gay fashion, you're going to want to keep listening.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back, gorgeous. So we just talked about some makeup dupes, and now let's talk about Drag Race Down Under. So you may be asking, Jaiden, why don't you go through the looks from the first episode? Why are you going to do right? Well, trust and believe that I'm fully justified in my choices. So the reason why we're going through their premiere look as opposed to the looks from the runway are because when I was looking on each of the queens' Instagrams, I couldn't find the outfits that they wore. And so I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I'll just go back, watch the show on my phone and take screenshots, right? Well, I started watching the episode and I was like, well, I know with the Netflix, if you're watching on like a mobile device, whether it's like your phone, like iPad or something, if you go to take a screenshot, it doesn't show up. Like the entire screen will just be black. I don't know. Maybe it's for like copyright reasons, protection. I don't really know. And so that's kind of what was happening on WoW Presents Plus, which is where I watch Drag Race Down Under. So I couldn't find the looks, which is unfortunate. However, next time for the next episode, episode 2, I'll have it going on like my TV or something, and I'll just take photos from my phone so that I can reference them later. You feel me? Because I always have the photos of the queens and their outfits so that I can always reference them, right? Because I don't know. I don't have everybody's outfit memorized. However, all of that aside, let's talk about the premiere and the blue carpet that they did and the looks. Because, girl, trust me, these looks are something. I'm not sure if there was a particular theme that they had to follow. I imagine that there wasn't because, like, they're not competing on the show anymore, so it's not like there's a competition going on anymore. But I have a photo of all of the queens together, so we're just going to go in order from left to right, starting with Maxi Shield. So, Maxi Shield, for some reason, while I was researching their outfits, she was the first queen that I remembered. Like, I remembered her name. So when I went to go look at her Instagram, I saw this premiere look on its own, and I saw that she had the designer tagged. So I was like, wait, I'm kind of curious. Like, who designed this outfit? So I go and I look, and it's like some small account that only has like 117 followers. And I was like, girl, if you found a good designer that's not popular, like, good on you. Like, I wish I could do that. I was trying to find, like, wig stylists, costume designers, and things like that in Sacramento, where I live, but I haven't found any luck. If you're a costume designer or a wig stylist in the 916 area, follow me on Instagram. Let me know. I would love to talk. Anyways, so Maxi Shield, this dress. So I kind of have mixed opinions about it. The fit of the dress, gorgeous. The colors, not so much. It looks like window curtains almost. I'm not a fan of it. It's like tan, like a little bit of brown, some like accents of like a green underneath. Like, I don't know. It just looks weird. I'm not a fan of the outfit, but Maxi Shield, love. I love the tattoos on her arm. Stunning, gorgeous. I love it. She's got nails. She's got jewelry. She's got big hair. I love it. Based on the photo, I can't tell what shoes most of the queens are wearing, but I would imagine that her shoe probably would like match her nails, maybe like a red shoe, because the reason why I say that is because she has red lip, red nails, red like a trim, I guess, that goes kind of along the middle hem of her dress. So that's red. So I would imagine to kind of balance out the red, she would have red shoes. Next is going to be Etc. Etc., which I think is a really fun name. There's not too much to talk about for this look. It's the cockroach look that she kind of came in with. It was fine then, and it's fine now. So we're just going to move past it. Next is Coco Jumbo. So this outfit, I'm kind of obsessed with. I can't really see her because she's kind of turned to the side. Etc. is blocking her, and so is our Simone, but whatever, it's okay. I really like this kind of mermaid dress. It's bright purple, has silver accents, nice purple hair. Zooming in on the hair, you can really see all the individual curls, and I'm gonna assume that it's a fully synthetic wig, And with synthetic wigs, when you curl them, sometimes that curl definition can get lost if you didn't set the curl long enough. And this wig just screams time and effort. And girl, it shows. One thing that I would like to see is maybe some jewelry on the hands. But, like, that's really it. She has neck jewelry. She has earrings. Face painted, period. We love to see it. Yeah, again, I just wish I could see her shoes. But this is unfortunately the world that we live in. And I'll have to deal with it. That's okay. Next is Art Simone. This look, I have a lot of thoughts about. Starting with the different shades of greenish blue at the bottom that then leads into bright pink. It's an interesting color combination choice because I would say that it clashes. Because the colors at the bottom are really, really cool toned, and then the outfit itself is super, like, hot pink. And it just doesn't look right. And because she's turned to the side, I can't tell what, like, the back of it looks like, but it almost looks like it kind of goes up the side. I don't know. It's a weird outfit. If the whole thing was the hot pink, like, skin tight dress, like, gorgeous, stunning, I would be obsessed with it. But I don't know. Just, like, the blue at the bottom, like, really kind of just gets me. She is painted. She always does her makeup really, really well. And I even noticed this while watching the episode. Her makeup seems to have a very, like, contemporary type of boldness to it. Like, her eyebrows in this photo, she doesn't necessarily have eyebrows, but they're like rhinestones instead, which I'm kind of obsessed with. Again, the hair, really tight, really defined curls. Again, screams time, patience, commitment. Hello. I love it. Next is JoJo Zaho. So, funny story. I didn't realize, like, what the joke was with the name until I watched the episode. Because if you remember, we did the, what was it? The promo looks. The promo looks and the entrance looks. We did. And the joke fully went over my head. But I get it now. So that's good. This outfit, it's okay. It's a little simple. It is very, like, red carpet. Well, I guess blue carpet because that's the carpet that they walked on. It's all right. It doesn't look well fitted in the waist area. So that makes me wonder if, 1, she's wearing a corset. 2, she's wearing hip pads. Because typically if there's a little bit of, like, lack of shape in that area, can be fixed with 1, 2, or, well, it can be fixed with either hip pads, a corset, or both. I personally like both because it really gets in there and really makes the proportions super duper dramatic. And even if you do wear hip pads, like, from the front and from the back, it looks fine. But, like, from the side, the illusion is gone. So that could be what's happening here. That she's kind of just standing in a position so she doesn't really have any shape. But, yeah, the look is fine. I'm not a fan of the feathers that kind of go along the trim of the entire thing. It reminds me of those rugs on the carpet, or, like, the rugs that you put on the floor that have, like, these, like, tassels at the end of it that are, like, always tangled, nasty. There's, like, hair and, like, I don't know. It's not the business. It's not the tea for me. Next is going to be Miss Anita Wiglet. Every time I say her name, it just makes me smile. It's such a fun name to say. This outfit, I'm confused. Is it camo? Is it, like, just, like, nature? I don't really understand. But it looks fine. It's, like, a standard dress. There's nothing, like, special about it other than the print that's on there, which is unfortunate because, like, some of these other outfits are just objectively better. Like, this looks like she just, like, took it off the rack and put it on, which no shame in the game, because trust and believe, I'm definitely the type of queen to just get something from Amazon and wear it how it is, as opposed to, like, adding things to it. If I'm happy with how it came in the mail, I'm going to wear it. But obviously, if I'm not happy with it, and I think I have the time, ability, funds, and talent to modify the garment, then I would do so. But I have just yet to be put in a position where I have to do that. Yeah, so I can't see her shoes still. Surprise, surprise. The jewelry that she's wearing, I think for an outfit like this, doesn't really make any sense. Because it's very, like I said, camo. If she was standing in the forest, I probably wouldn't be able to see her. And the jewelry that she's wearing is really, really big. And so I think it kind of clashes with the camouflage idea of it. Because if you're going to wear camouflage, the idea is to blend into something, right? Even if you're not, like, actually wearing camouflage for the camouflage purposes. And so then I kind of just feel like the jewelry kind of just stands out. It looks really bulky. It looks a little cheap, which there's nothing wrong with. By all means, get your coin, get your money, save your money. We love to see it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm, for once, not a fan of the makeup. I like the base makeup. The base makeup is fine. Her highlight, contour, foundation, all of that is fine. It's kind of the eye area that I have some problems with. It looks unfinished almost, which is unfortunate because I know that it's probably finished. But, like, just the eyes, her eyes just, it doesn't seem like she put much color on there, which doesn't make sense because a majority of her look is, like, green. I like the hair, though. Her hairline looks good. Anywho, moving on, we have Scarlett Adams, which this is easily my favorite look from the entire cast. It's just an all black, leather, skin tight bodysuit, massive, massive platform heels with an even bigger hat. I love it. I'm not mad at it. The makeup, it's fine. It's classic. It's simple. We have bold eyes, very dramatic lip. We have black lipstick. I always get scared to wear black lipstick because I feel like I'm just, like, gonna, like, wear it wrong or something. But this look is incredible. And thankfully, Anita Wiglet has her arm around Scarlett's waist so that you can see, like, the definition in her waist. Oh my God. Oh my God. Waist is so tiny. She is so cinched. It doesn't look like she's wearing hip pads, which makes it even crazier that she's able to get her waist that small with just a corset. All the respect. All respect for you, Miss Scarlett Adams. Next is Karen from Finance, which is a queen I know. Not personally, of course, but I love her. I would say out of all of the looks, this is my second favorite. So I like that Scarlett and Karen are standing together. It makes me happy. I really like this look because it's exactly what you would imagine from Karen from Finance. It's something that you could, well, I don't want to say you could wear it to, like, an office job because, like, you very much couldn't. But I still get that kind of vibe, right? Like, the patterns that she's wearing, the length of the clothes that she is wearing, her makeup, her accessories, like, it's all things that, like, if you make them smaller in size, then you could wear it. But because she's a drag queen, everything has to be big and dramatic. But I love it. It's a lot of blue. It's a lot of purple. Looks a little bit red, too. I really like it. Next is going to be Ketamine, which she has this, like, rock star mohawk styled hair, which we've seen before. A queen who comes to mind that has recently done hair like this is Denali, when she lip synced for her life against Kimora Hall. And she had that green, blue, red feathers look, and her hair was, like, coiffed back. It's very much like that, except Ketamine's is blonde. We have some red and blue streaks in there. Along throughout, like, her entire outfit, the theme of her outfit seems to be white with blue and pink streaks through it. It's all right. I'm not gagged. I think it's a fun look. The heels that she's wearing, I actually own. And it's always fun to see drag queens on TV using things that I also use, because then it just makes me feel like, well, I can do that too then, right? I love to see it. The only difference between her shoes and mine are the color. Hers are like a pastel pink. I have mine in just black. But still a good look. Overall, I would say for Drag Race Down Under, overall, these looks are kind of disappointing, just generally across the board. But it's them trying times of COVID, so I totally get it. It's nothing against these queens personally. I love each and every one of them. And I'm very excited to see them progress through RuPaul's Drag Race. And I'm even more excited to see the success that follows. So now that we've talked about Drag Race Down Under, let's go a little bit further through the world and talk about Drag Race Spain. However, that'll be after the break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey y'all, thank you guys so much for staying tuned. So we just talked about Drag Race Down Under. However, that does not conclude the Drag Race content for this episode. We need to talk about Drag Race Spain. I am so excited. I am so excited that, like, I don't think I've ever been this excited about any Drag Race spinoff. I don't even get this excited for Drag Race US when there's a new season. I would say the only thing that's equivalent is like maybe a good All Stars or something. But I'm really excited for this, not because I recognize any of these queens. None of these people look familiar to me. But just looking at the photos and looking at the drag that it looks like each person kind of represents makes me so excited to see all of these people go through the process of Drag Race and kind of see who succeeds and, unfortunately, who fails because it is a competition. I'm very interested to see all of these queens progress and how they progress after the show. I would argue that how you do on the show doesn't really define your success. I think what really matters is what you do after the show. I think a good example of that is Trixie Mattel. She, I want to say, got really, really big after her season, which was season 7. And she didn't win. I don't remember what place she went home, but she wasn't even close to winning. And I would argue that she's more famous than RuPaul at this point. She has her podcast with Katya. She has her Netflix YouTube series, again, with Katya. And she has just made such a big name for herself. outside of Drag Race. I mean, to be fair, it is kind of hard to compare her success outside of Drag Race because she did end up winning All Stars, but that's irrelevant in this situation. Who's another good example? Bob the drag queen. I would say while watching season 8, I wasn't really a fan of Bob the drag queen. Like, Bob was funny, but like in terms of like the fashion and like the serving of the looks, it just wasn't there for me, at least not completely, right? But after Drag Race, especially now, wow, 10 out of 10. I would say now Bob the drag queen is easily in my like top 5 Ru girls. And even Monet Exchange, Bob posted a photo of Monet and I was so gagged. It was such a good photo. So, Drag Race Spain. Let's talk about it. I have their promo looks that each of the queens posted on their Instagram. And I would just like to preface, some of these names are in a language I am not too familiar with. I am going to try my best to say their names. There are a couple of queens whose first name, I guess, I feel confident in being able to pronounce, but not the last name. So we'll kind of play it by ear for each of the queens. But please know, I am not trying to be disrespectful. I am trying my best. Yeah. With that being said, let's just jump into it, right? Because I'm going into this with peace and love, and that's all that matters, right? Period. Okay. So the first queen I want to talk about is Puppy Poison. This look is very interesting because it was the first look that I saw from Drag Race Spain, and it doesn't look too different than drag in the US. And most drag, typically mainstream drag, it's going to be somewhat similar kind of around the world, but there are some queens on this list who I wouldn't imagine seeing this on Drag Race US, more something like a spinoff. But regardless, this outfit, it's a pink fitted latex moment, which I like. The only thing that I don't like about it is the kind of like arm jacket sleeve puff thing. I'm not really sure what it is just because I can't really see it. I can't really see it like all. I can't see all of it is what I'm trying to say. But I do like the way that this dress fits her. It looks like she's wearing hip pads, which is good. It doesn't look like she's wearing a corset, which is fine. Like I said before, you can either do a corset or hip pads or both. The hair and makeup is kind of where my biggest issue is. So just zoom in a little bit. The hair, I don't know if it's the quality of the photo or just like the actual wig itself, but that wig looks so dry in the front. And you're probably asking, Jaiden, if it's a wig, how can it be dry? There's no moisture. It's not alive. It's not connected to anything, right? No, I hear you. Have no fear. I'm going to explain. So when somebody refers to a wig as being dry, crunchy, stiff even, that just means that they used too much hairspray in the front of it. And so now it's kind of like, it's not even really hair anymore. It's more so like a hair piece. It's not a wig. It's a hair piece. And it can kind of just result in like it just looking dry because it kind of coats the hair, or not the hair, but like the wig fibers, if you will. And it just makes like the flyaways and the tangles just more apparent. So then it also makes your hair look a little bit unkept, makes it look a little ratty, a little tattered. And it's unfortunate, but I have had that happen to me where I use too much hairspray and my wig looks dry and it looks brittle. It looks like it's going to crack. But it's an easy fix. What I do is I just take a steamer and I'll kind of like steam the area of like where it looks dry. Not to the point where like it loses the shape, but just enough so that the hairspray that's on there is a little bit like softer. It's not as hard. And I'll take a paper towel or a napkin or like an old t-shirt or something, and I'll kind of just wipe away some of the hairspray and kind of spread it out a little bit more. And then again, if I notice that I have to do any restyling of the hair, that's when I'll, again, use a steamer, take a brush, and kind of try and redo whatever style the hairspray was holding. And remember, at the end, you can always go back through with more hairspray. It's always better to start off with less and then add more than to have too much and then take some away, because then you risk losing style, all that stuff, right? Next is going to be Dovima Normie. So this outfit, I was kind of gagged. Like, this girl is serving face. She is serving face. She is serving a body, and we love to see it. I don't necessarily want to label any of these queens as like fashion girls, comedy queens, look queens, like things like that. I never really understood the purpose of kind of labeling yourself as one of those, because I feel like it kind of just limits the things that you do. So out of respect for all of these queens, we're not going to do that. However, this queen is stunning. She is so pretty. The hair, the makeup, the outfit, the accessories. I'm obsessed with it. What I probably like most about this outfit is that one of her sleeves, it goes from like, I'll just map it on my own body. So starting from the wrist, it's there's fur around her wrist because she has this kind of like drape thing that she's holding. But the actual garment itself has this like mesh. It's a different material than the rest of the outfit that starts, I want to say, like maybe either mid-arm or at her wrist, goes up to her shoulders, and then she has a fun little shoulder pad, and then it cuts kind of across underneath her armpit, goes up through her chest, and then goes around into the collar of, like, around her neck, which I think is really interesting because it's enough so that I can notice it, but it's not big enough to where that's like the main focal point of the outfit. It's just one of those like small details, right? I'm obsessed with this look. I really like the fur too. The makeup is so bold. We have a bright red lip, really like exaggerated and like pulled out kind of blue makeup that just makes her look just stunning. All right, the next queen, her name is Long, and and out of respect for the queen and the language and the culture, I'm only going to be pronouncing her first name, which is Arantra, I believe. I listened to her podcast, or her podcast trailer, so that I could kind of hear her pronounce it, and I had to listen to it a few times, so I think I'm saying it correctly. But this outfit, girl, I don't know what was going through your head when you decided to put this on, because this is not it. There's no shape to it. Okay, well, that's not necessarily true. There is a small shape to it. It's the type of dress that goes straight down. It's not necessarily like a pencil dress. It almost looks like a bell, where it's like tiny up like towards the neck and then kind of like funnels and gets bigger towards like the hips. But it stops like mid-thigh, so it's really not that long either. It's one solid color. There's no special like design or like no dimension or anything. There's just a star on the chest. Like where Iron Man had his artificial heart is right there. So the actual like torso part of the outfit, very boring. I can't tell the color of it. It's either like an off-white or like a really light pink. But the star is definitely pink. The sleeves are like this clear mesh, it looks like. And it goes into like cuffed like around the wrist, which I don't really understand because the entire outfit isn't really form-fitting except for the wrist. So I think it was an interesting choice. I don't really like this outfit. I don't like it at all. I also don't like the hair. The hair, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I can tell that it's like blonde hair with bangs, but like the bangs don't really look right. They look really choppy. But I also don't really know like the kind of queen this is. I don't know if it's a stylistic choice where it was done, like all of this was done on purpose or whatever, right? So I'm going to give this queen the benefit of the doubt and say that the idea behind this entire outfit is like camp, right? So then in that sense, like the outfit is good. So yeah, so the hair and outfit I don't like. What I do like, and what I do like very much, is the makeup. My favorite part about the makeup are her eyelashes. I'm a big fan of queens who use like paper on top of like false lashes. A good example is Rock'em Sakura from season 12. Those eyelashes that she would wear, I watched a YouTube video where she made them, and I can't remember if she said like this is always how she does it or this is like a new method or something. But essentially what she does is she'll take like E6000 glue, put some of it on a strip eyelash, and then get a piece of construction paper, cut out kind of like a triangle shape pretty much, and glue it to the actual eyelash. And that's so that when she puts it on, she has this like really long, exaggerated eyelash, which I think is really, really fun and very drag. The only difference between Rock'em Sakura's lashes and this queen's lashes is just the length. But I really like it. I think she's a cute queen. I would say for her, I'm the most excited about because, again, when I was listening to her podcast, she talked about being like the Hannah Montana equivalent, which I am absolutely here for. I have all the time in the world for that. So I'm excited about her. The next queen is going to be Inti, I-N-T-I. Very interesting name. This outfit is definitely something. I do like it. It's an all red moment, which I really, really like. What confuses me is what's behind her. It looks like it's like attached like to her back. It looks almost like an ironing board or something. I could do without that. But everything else about this outfit I really like. The outfit looks complex, looks well fitted, showing a lot of skin. Her hand is like, has one really long nail. I love it. Hair, gorgeous. Makeup, it's pretty good. I'm not mad at it, but is she all right? All right, so the last queen that I want to cover in this episode is going to be the Macarena. And no, that's the queen's name. And she's dressed like a mouse, which is interesting because we typically don't see like animal cosplay too much, especially not for like a promo look or like an entrance look or anything like that. But this outfit, it looks kind of like a fur suit, maybe like a fursona, something similar, maybe. There are rhinestones on it, which I do appreciate. I do like the placement of them. We have some on the upper thighs, some on the hips, around the waist, as well as on the chest. I do like this outfit. Her hair, again, is looking a little dry, but overall, it's not a bad outfit. So those were 5 of the queens from Drag Race Spain. Next time, I will be covering the other queens that we didn't talk about and their outfits. Those are, we love to see it. That's all I'm going to say for now. After the break, we're going to talk about beauty tips you need to stop doing, need to fully ignore, and fully get them out of your head. But those will be right after this.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back. We love to see it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are in the end game of this episode, at least. So we talked about drag. We talked about makeup. Now, let's talk about beauty tips that I think you should ignore. Because, of course, there's good beauty tips, which is what I'm here to give you. And there's bad beauty tips where just they don't make sense. They're not safe. They cause too much damage. So the ultimate goal is for you to obviously stay away from those. And I was going to say listen to the experts, but I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. But I think it's important that I use my knowledge and my resources and my God-given skill of research to do my best to give you guys information that I think you guys would actually benefit from. Which is why I really enjoy finding beauty tips that are relatively popular and kind of just picking them apart and finding the issues and ways to improve them, because I think that's a whole lot of fun. So the first tip that you need to ignore is only using makeup wipes. And I am so guilty of this. I'm so guilty of it. And here's why. So when you put your makeup on and you leave it on for a really long time and it's just on your skin, like, you're going to get makeup in your pores. It's just going to happen. Like, there's not really a way to avoid that. I mean, the only way to do it is to, like, not wear makeup. But makeup wipes, only going through with a makeup wipe is not enough to fully get all of the makeup out of your pores. Ideally, what you would want to do is use a makeup wipe to, if you have to. I said ideally already, but this is the ideal situation. You're not using makeup wipes. You're using a double cleanser method with a good moisturizer. The reason why makeup wipes are just bad in general are because it's irritating to the skin to be rubbing certain, like, spots on your face really aggressively. I know that when I take off my eye makeup and I'm using a makeup wipe, I'm really, like, getting in there. Like, to the point where, like, I'll open my eye and I'm, like, blind for, like, 3 seconds because I just rubbed the hell out of my eye. And it's also not good for the environment. Makeup wipes, most of them are single use, and they filling up the landfills, and girl, we need to, like, not do that. So I am making a promise to you, the listener, that once I run out of makeup wipes, I think I only have maybe 1 or 2 packs left. Once I run out, I will not be purchasing any more makeup wipes. And I urge you to also do the same, because it's the little things that a lot of us can do. Anywho, so double cleansing method. Ideally, you would want to use maybe like an oil-based cleanser, because the oils in a facial cleanser will, like, really get into your pores and really start to break down the makeup so that you can really get it all off. So once you've gone through with an oil-based facial cleanser, then you can go through with, like, your typical, like, foaming one. Again, you have to be careful that you don't use one that's too overstripping, or else you're going to get rid of all the oils and the good oils that are in your skin. So just be careful. And then obviously moisturize your skin, wear sunscreen, all that fun stuff. You know the deal. The next beauty tip that you need to ignore is using glue to remove your blackheads. I know. You may be asking, Jaiden, who's using glue? Me, when I was 15. What I would do is I would take the liquid Elmer's glue and I would put it on my nose. I would put some on my finger, rub it together, warm it up a little so it's a little bit thinner, and I would put it on my nose and put it on again in layers so that it was like super duper thick, and then I would take it off like a pore strip, right? Well, I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of chemicals that are in glue that shouldn't be on your face. And I feel like it's one of those things that, like, if your skin is really bad and you're really desperate, like, putting glue on your face is one of those desperate things that people do when they just really, really need results. And there's nothing wrong with wanting results, but just do it in a way that's safe, that's productive, that is sustainable, because you can't, no, that's not good. And plus, like, using glue, like, it really didn't even work. It didn't get rid of any blackheads. It wasn't strong enough to, like, actually pull anything out of my skin. And that's what made me even more nervous, is that it wasn't pulling anything out. So then I was like, well, then what is it putting in? You know what I mean? And there's just a lot of chemicals in there that are not good for your skin, so don't do it. And also, if you have any kids, urge them not to do it, because my mom didn't know I was doing it. So just talk to your kids. This is not about children. Anyways, the next beauty tip is using too much glitter. Now, if you've listened to the show before, or even within the last like 45 minutes, you'll know that I am a sucker for sparkly things. Whether they're rhinestones, glitter, diamonds. Oh, yes. But there is such thing as too much glitter. There was a look that I did where I put loose glitter. So NYX has what's called glitter glue, which is glue that is specifically for putting glitter on top of it so that it doesn't fall off, which is good. If you're going to use any type of glue, make sure it's specific for what you're trying to do. And so what I did is, if you've seen the show Euphoria, it was kind of based on that. I had tears of glitter like running down my face, and I also had that same loose cosmetic glitter on my eyelids, not too much, but just a little bit. And trying to take it off was probably the worst cosmetic experience of my life. The glitter, it was really big pieces of glitter, but not big enough to where like I could just like pick them off, because there was a lot of it. And it was just so hard to take off carefully, because the first thing that I thought of doing is just taking, a makeup wipe and scrubbing it off. But the glitter is abrasive, and it's pretty much just exfoliating your face. And if you have a lot of glitter and you're just rubbing it all over your skin, you're literally just going to over-exfoliate your skin, which is exactly what happened to me. My face was red. I'm a brown person, and so typically if I get red, you don't really see it. I just get kind of warm in the face, right? But my skin was red, and it was so irritated, and it was so sensitive, and it hurt so bad that I was like, no, I'm never using glitter again. We're done. I'm never going to touch it. I don't even want to look at it, right? That was until I learned this little life hack. So if you do want to wear a lot of glitter, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you this little helpful tip. There's two different hacks. The first one is using Scotch tape to take it off, which I've done, which I've tried. Essentially, what that consists of, I'm sure you can imagine. Say you have glitter on your eyelid, right? And I'm not talking like a shimmery eyeshadow. I'm talking like you put loose glitter on your eyelid. You take a piece of Scotch tape, one that's like roughly like twice the size of your eye so that you kind of have like extra space. What you'll do is you'll put the tape directly onto your eyelid and kind of like pat the tape onto your eye, and then very slowly like pull the skin so that it's a little bit tight so that there's not really like any wrinkles, and very slowly and carefully take it off. Try not to rip from one side to the other. Instead, try and lift both sides up. Does that make sense? Because the reason for this is if you do this too much consistently, eventually you'll start to see kind of more fine lines and wrinkles, like based on like how you pull the tape off. So that's one of the downsides to using the Scotch tape. The positive is that it gets that glitter off. And it even takes off some of the eye makeup, which is good because then you don't have to take as much of it off later. But another hack that I've seen a queen do is take a lint roller, not the reusable ones where it's like a fabric one, but the classic sticky ones. And you just take off a clean sheet, make sure it's clean, and you take off the glitter like that. That one is a little bit better because it's not as harsh and it's almost like you're like waxing a little bit, and it's, again, a little bit more gentle. It's not as strong as Scotch tape. The only downside is that it is a larger surface area, so you're probably going to be sticking it to like your cheek a little bit too, and like probably lifting off some of your makeup. But other than that, like, it's reusable, meaning like you can use it more than once, but you can't clean it off. Because it's such a big surface area, you can use it multiple times. So that's good. But ideally, you would just not want to wear a lot of loose glitter like that because it's scary. It's hard to take off. The next hack is putting lip gloss or lipstick on your eyelids. So this was a hack that I saw that had comments underneath it where everybody was like, don't do that. Don't put lipstick on your eyelids. It's not good. It's too oily. It's going to crease. It's not going to look right. Which is true. However, there are ways to get around that. So I would avoid putting lip gloss on your eyelid only because I'm not really sure why you would. It doesn't really make any sense, especially if it's like a clear lip gloss. It doesn't make any sense. If it's a tinted lip gloss, I kind of get it, but unless it's really tinted, like, you're not going to be able to tell. And like sticky eyelids, like that feels gross just talking about it. But putting lipstick is a little bit different because lipsticks have a more concentrated pigment, so they're going to be a lot more vibrant if you put them like on your eyelid. And there was a look that I did where just the pink eyeshadow was just not vibrant enough for me. So what I did is I took a liquid lipstick in a similar shade to the pink that I wanted, and I put it on my eyelid, and I had to keep my eye closed because I didn't want it to crease. And what I did is kind of while it was drying, I took a small fluffy brush and kind of just blended out like the outer edge of it just so it wasn't so harsh, because then you can like really tell that I have like lipstick on my eyelid. And with that lipstick, or with any lipstick, that if you put it on your eyelid, it's always going to be like a little bit tacky. Not tacky like style-wise, but tacky like to the touch. Like it feels a little sticky, right? So what you would do is take an eyeshadow that's roughly like the same color as whatever lipstick you put on your eyelid, and you would set your lipstick that's on your eye like that. It's the same concept as setting powder used for foundation. It's the same kind of concept. You're using a dry powder to make something that's like oily or something that's wet to make it matte and make it stay and have it not crease. So that's one thing that you could do. And another thing that you could do is, if you don't want to use eyeshadow over it because you don't want to ruin the color, you could do setting powder, but you just have to make sure that it's a translucent powder, or else you're just going to mix like a tan and like a red or something. And it just wouldn't look right. You also have to be sure that the powder is really, really fine. If there's any big chunks in there, it's going to stick to your lipstick on your eyelid, and you're not going to be able to get it off. But I would say if you're going to put lipstick on your eyes, just make sure you set it and make sure you try to blend it as best you can. It's really hard to blend. I want to say just for 5 minutes, I was just in the same spot on my face. Circular motions. I was doing the windshield wiper motions, like all of it. But I think it was a pretty good look. The last hack that I want to talk to you guys about that I had no idea was even a thing is putting hemorrhoid cream on your under eyes. I know. Talking about it again, I'm like starting to get frustrated. It doesn't make sense. Why would you put hemorrhoid cream on your under eyes, anywhere near your eyes, even on your face? Because that's not what it's supposed to be used for. So the reason why, aside from the obvious, why putting hemorrhoid cream on your under eyes is a bad idea is because all it does is dry out the skin on your under eye. Like, that's literally all it does. Because that's essentially what the hemorrhoid cream does, like, to actual hemorrhoids. It just dries them out. And it does the exact same thing to your under eyes. So then if you have dry under eyes, then eventually your under eyes are going to get irritated. They're going to get flaky. And they're going to give you more wrinkles in the long term. So while it may help with like any like inflammation or anything that you kind of have under your under eyes, it's just going to dry out the skin. Please don't do it. Like, I also feel like it's kind of gross. Like, don't put hemorrhoid cream on your under eyes. Those are all of the beauty tips. Well, that's not all of the beauty tips, but those are all the beauty tips that I want to cover today. Because there's so many tips that just I don't think anybody should be doing. They're dangerous. They're scary. They're like just gross, right? But that's all for today's episode, which means this episode is coming to a close. Thank you guys so much for listening to episode 107. I feel like I've been doing this for so long. I have so much fun doing it. I love it. If you are listening to this on iTunes, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Leave me some feedback in the little feedback section of the podcast. I would love to hear anything that you guys want me to talk about. Definitely send me any suggestions if you want. If you think you found a good makeup dupe and you want me to try it, let me know. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you like this video. Subscribe even. Maybe comment something nice. Tell me I'm pretty. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to go to the comments and type Jaiden/Shear Stud. 2 words, Shear Stud. You are gorgeous. That's all you have to say. And then it's done. You don't win anything. There's nothing for you to gain, but you win. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you guys in episode 108.